And I think a lot of the negative things that we see, not just in Memphis, but all across this world, is when people feel like hope is gone.
Yeah. All right, Mayor Young, it's an honor to have you here, man. You're one of my very favorite people I've been dying to talk to.
Likewise.
So I want to know where you come from. What's your background? Why do you care about South Memphis? And your answer can't be because you're the mayor.
No, it's not because I'm the mayor. It's because I'm from Memphis. I grew up in Oak Haven, but my mom and dad both grew up in South Memphis.
Really?
Yeah, my mom at Edith and Lauderdale. My dad grew up over off of Macklemore, and man, the cross street is escaping me. No, it wasn't College. It was just to the east of College Street. Man, my mom will see this and be mad. I'm not saying, but he also grew up in Foot Home, so he grew up in a couple of places in South Memphis. They both graduated from BTW High School.
Oh.
So, I mean, South Memphis through and through.
You're from South Memphis?
Yeah,
now.
well, my family is for sure. I spent a lot of time here growing up, and really, man, I just love Memphis, man. I love people, and I want to see our city finally reach the promise that we have. I've grown up here, and I know that as long as I can remember, we've been the city with potential.
Man.
And in some ways, we've realized the potential, but we definitely have not maximized it yet. And I think that this is our season to maximize that potential.
I could not agree more. I'm not from Memphis. I moved here in 2006. And you know some of my backstory. Like I hated Memphis. I hated this place. I could not get out quick enough. And the second I actually got out and got clean, I wanted to come back.
Yeah.
I could not get Memphis out of my system.
It's a
like
special
there's
place,
just something
man.
about
it pulls
this
you
place.
in. Once you get connected to the people at a human level, like I feel like, and I've been to a lot of different places, the people of Memphis just have a special heart, and
there is something
they kind of pull you in. No matter what part of the city you're in, there's a kinship. When you connect with Memphians, it's almost like you've known them for all of your life.
You know what? That is a sentiment that is shared by people I've brought to Memphis from all over this country. Matter of fact, we had an event right here. Christian Warren, one of your advisors, was here, and we had people here from 14 states that day. People who had never set foot in the hood in their whole life. People that have been to war all over the world, and they came out here to Memphis to help shoulder the load cleaning this place up. We did a lot of work on the grounds that day. Nature has a way of coming back and taking over, so you can't tell.
Yeah, it'll come
But that was like the most commonly shared thing by everybody we had out here that day is like, how is it that everybody you meet in the hood of Memphis just instantly feels like family? And it is such a true statement. It is. There's just something about the people of Memphis. And you mentioned human connection. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's like my favorite thing about working in South Memphis, North Memphis. It doesn't matter what part of Memphis.
Right.
You're able to move the needle in some very amazing ways through human connection. Memphis is a city with tremendous potential. And I do agree with you that we are in the season where we're going to start bringing that out. I was actually having a conversation with Sergeant Smith before you got here. That Memphis has all the right people to bring us out of the funk that we're in. We just don't know each other yet. And so that's one of the points of this podcast that I'm doing is trying to make people aware of the change makers, the movers, the shakers, the people willing to step into harm's way and bleed for this city, which oddly enough, it's starting to feel like it might be everybody. Everybody in Memphis is willing to go get their hands dirty fixing the city.
That's the answer. And as you were saying that's what I was thinking. I mean, certainly you have people who are in positions of leadership like myself, and certainly I have an obligation to do the things that are going to advance this community, but I think it's important for every Memphian to understand that they are a part of the formula. We are what we need to take us to where we want to go. We just have to believe it, and we have to take on we got to put in the work.
That's right.
But I firmly believe that we are enough to take our community to heights that we haven't seen before.
Man, I agree with every bit of that. I really do. I know one of the big things that you care about that we also care about, as you've seen out here, is housing, blight. How did you first go, like, walk me through your life and into your journey into public service? Because I know housing's a big deal for you. How did that come to pass?
So I told this story many times, but I think it's fitting for the question that you asked, like, how did I end up here? I'm the son of two Baptist preachers, and I went to college at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, and came home with an engineering degree and couldn't necessarily find the job that I wanted. And so I was doing a lot of different things, working in retail, substitute teaching, and had friends moving all over the place. And I had this moment when I was at church and my mom was preaching a sermon on the purpose-driven life, and she said that God's purpose for your life will never be about you. God's purpose for your life will always be about someone else. And it was like a light bulb clicked for me, and I said, all right, what can I do with my life where I can do something for somebody else, still earn a good living? And I decided that I wanted to help rebuild neighborhoods in the city that I love. Like literally, over the course of 24 hours, I decided my life's path just like that.
That's awesome.
And I started enrolled in city and regional planning at the University of Memphis, and really fell in love with the people of our communities. And I did a lot of work in Douglas for my capstone project, and we did a strategic plan for their community development organization. And that's when I decided I wanted to focus on helping residents of this city have higher quality housing. And the rest of my career, I've done things in and around that space. And now I have, the greatest opportunity to have an impact on housing and community development and the people of the city that I love.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You touched on a couple things that I want to go back to. Purpose-driven life. So, little known fact, when my journey into addiction started, I was actually a member of Saddleback Church, Rick Warren's church. So
Yeah,
I was hearing this message,
wow.
right?
Yeah.
I was
'Cause he
hearing
wrote
this
the book.
message at a very young age
Yeah.
about the purpose-driven life. I just was not ready to receive that message. And I spent the next 25 years of my life trying to find purpose through changing the way I felt. Let's just put it that way, right? I was running from something inside me. And when I finally got clean and started living a life of service, I realized like the solution was right in front of me the whole time.
Yeah.
My purpose, and I think everybody's purpose, is intrinsically tied to service of others. None of us were meant to live in this little insular, siloed world where we're only worried about advancing ourselves, our own family. It's about community.
Right.
And I think for most addicts, we figure that out at some point in our journey, if we ever take recovery seriously, that you got to go back out and be of service.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's being of service to other addicts who are, still out there struggling. I think for normal people like yourself, it's being of service to your community.
That's right.
So obviously, you look where we're sitting, we got some blight going on in Memphis.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy some of it, like this. This is a pretty cool place, is it not?
It's very cool. I mean, I want to see it receive new life. And
Yes.
It's a beautiful structure. Got an opportunity to walk the grounds as we came in, and just seeing how much existed here, and just thinking about the impact that it had on people's lives when it was in its prime. And I always ask myself when I see things like this, what new life can we bring to it? And how many more people, how many more generations can create memories in a space like this?
Well, and we're sitting in one of the roughest zip codes in Memphis right now. There's some statistics out here that break my heart. I'm sure they break yours
Absolutely.
too. Especially the ones about young men.
Yeah.
Like we were talking on the way in, young men out here are statistically more likely to be dead or incarcerated than they are to have a job or be in school. That hurts my heart.
Right,
like
hurt.
how are we going to see this community revitalized if we can't change that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a number of things, but I think at the root of all of it is hope.
Man.
I think that people, humans, as individuals, we need to have hope that something better can come tomorrow, and it inspires you to do more. And I think a lot of the negative things that we see, not just in Memphis, but all across this world, is when people feel like hope is gone.
Yeah.
When you are in a state of hopelessness, then you will do anything, because tomorrow doesn't matter. And I think that we need to do the things that will invoke hope in the young people in our community. And that comes from changing the aesthetics, the way things look around you. If you're walking down the street and all of the buildings are blighted, the grass is overgrown, it looks like no one cares. And it essentially tells you as an individual that I don't matter, that my community doesn't matter, that nobody cares. And it starts to breed that sense of hopelessness. So by cleaning up the communities, by eradicating blight, by fixing up the structures in the community, it's one way to invoke a sense of hope. And then the other way is to provide real tangible opportunities to young people, finding ways to put money in their pockets so that they aren't struggling to figure out how they're going to eat today or tomorrow. Like, those are the things that we as a community have to make sure that we're doing as we work to build up our city and our economy, make sure that it's bringing everybody along with us.
Yep, nobody gets left behind.
Nobody
and
left
that's
behind.
what you touched on hope. That's deep.
Yeah.
That's really deep. I never really thought about that, but the blight does make people feel like nobody cares.
Right.
I don't live out here in South Memphis. I live in North Georgia. I get to go home to out in the country.
Yeah.
And I don't have to look at this every day.
Right.
I find myself coming back out here and intentionally looking at it because I care about it. But that's how do you address that when you have people growing up out here that don't really have a lot of economic opportunity? They don't have. I know we keep saying the word hope. I feel like we're overusing it, but that's what it is.
Nah,
though.
I mean,
How do you?
It's the clearest word to explain what's necessary. I think the way that you do it is, one project at a time, one individual at a time, and it didn't get this way overnight. But it's up to us to change the circumstances and revitalize these communities, reinvigorate the private market. I would often use the example of one of the projects I was involved in when I was the housing director for the city, historic Melrose. In the heart of Orange Mound, there was Melrose High School. The historic Melrose building shut down as a high school in 1979, which was the year that I was born. And we started an effort at the fairgrounds back in 2017, 2018. And I went into Orange Mound and I was asking the community, what can we do with this fairgrounds project that would have a positive impact in Orange Mound? And what they told me was, find a way to make a connection to historic Melrose, because this building has been vacant for the last 40 years and we want to see it have life. And I thought about the fact that I was born in 1979, and if I grew up in Orange Mound, I would have been walking past a vacant building every day of my life. And it's amazing to think about what impact that has on someone that walks by in 1989 at 10 years old and see a building that's vacant and blighted. And then you come back in 1999, you're a 20-year-old man, still there. 2009, 30-year-old man, still there. 2019, still there. And so in 2020, we were able to do something that I think is amazing in that space. Through collaboration with the community, we were able to turn that into a library with a genealogy center that's focused on African American genealogy in the heart of one of the most historic African American communities in the nation. And so that invigorates hope. Now young people are able to go into that structure, have new memories, learn about their past and connections to where they came from. Those types of things matter, and I think that we need more of that.
We absolutely need more of that. This city's so full of history.
It is.
People talk about the potential of Memphis all the time, and I think it almost becomes like we just stop hearing it.
Yeah.
But if you actually get out here and you look at the history of this place, you interact with people, even the graffiti in here. I mean, there's some real talent out here, man.
It's talent.
And I think we've got to start rallying around these things that unite us like that.
Yeah, it's the thing. Those are the things that make our community special. I mean, there are cities all over the world that are looking for ways to define their identity. And the beautiful thing about Memphis is we have one.
Yes.
There are cities that are looking for things that make them cool and special. We have it naturally.
We're already cool.
Yeah, we have it naturally. And I think it's us finding ways to tap into that energy and use it to propel us into this next chapter of where we're going as a city.
So I think we both agree that Memphis, we've got the history, we've got the culture, we've got the right people. I think there's a few things holding us back. One of them is division, if you turn on the TV, that's a systemic issue across the country right now. The media is peddling this manufactured division, manufactured hate. I think Memphis at large is actually doing a pretty good job of ignoring it. Yeah. I've never once run into an issue of like race or hate or any of that when I'm actually out on the streets. If you turn on the TV, it's all you hear about. Right. But when you're actually out here getting in the middle of it, nobody cares about any of that. Like we're all on the same mission out here. I think Memphis is ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah, I think Memphians have a way of just interacting with each other,
Yep.
where it's just a realness and organic realness that comes from our
I like
interactions.
that,
And
organic realness.
while there are issues that cause debates, both locally, nationally, statewide, all of those things are always going to be the case. But I think about all the great things that have happened in our community, and none of them have happened without broad, robust discussion. And
Right.
everybody doesn't agree on any one thing, even when we brought the Grizzlies to Memphis. And now everybody in the city loves the Grizzlies and having the Grizzlies here. But there was a time when there was a debate around whether we should do it. And so as we go and we mature as a city, we're going to continue to have those discussions. My goal is to ensure that we have civil debates and really think critically about what's in the best interest of all of our residents.
I think the time's right for all of that. I don't know if you're up to speed on what we did last week, but I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
So we, in partnership with Our Rescue and Skull Games, the two NGOs that operate in the counter trafficking space, we partnered up with the streets and law enforcement to run a counter trafficking operation in the Mid-South. And so you've got people who, under normal circumstances, would never associate with each other. I'm talking ex-cons and cops, all right, hanging out in seedy motel rooms to combat human trafficking.
Wow.
And we were able to identify 32 victims of trafficking. We recovered 26 of them. We identified 12 traffickers / exploiters. 10 of them are incarcerated. We were able to move the needle in some really big ways with these unexpected alliances. And I think that's one of the things Memphis is better at than anywhere else in the country, is people that normally would not interact can come together and align around a shared objective, a shared goal. As long as we have the same goal, it doesn't matter if we agree on how we're going to get there.
That's right.
And I think this is a great example that highlights what I think is one of Memphis' superpowers, is that we have a very diverse population that is capable of aligning around interesting objectives. Let's put it that way. And so I guess where I'm going with that is, how does your average Memphian get involved in driving real change in Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different ways. I tell people that one simple way is to own your block. And we've gone to churches throughout the city. We've had many of them step up on this Own Your Block initiative. But the whole spirit of it is own the space that's around your immediate premises, whether that's your house, your church, your business, and let's make sure it's as attractive as possible. Let's pick up trash. Let's cut the grass. Let's keep things manicured. I really want to get our city back to being on America's most beautiful cities list. And I think it is a beautiful city, but sometimes, there are trash on the ground and other things that make it not as beautiful as it should be. I think that's one simple way for residents to get involved. And number two, I think it's important that we all become ambassadors for the city in our language and our verbiage and how we talk about the things. And I'm not asking anyone to turn a blind eye to challenges or issues, but I think it's also important that we acknowledge the good and we talk about the positive things, because that dialogue has an impact on the psyche and how we think about ourselves. And I think it's important for each of us to be ambassadors and really change the narrative for our community.
That's a gut check.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of doing the converse. I love this city. I fight for this city every day. I bleed for this city, but I've still been guilty of saying we're in America's deadliest city.
Yeah.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that we acknowledge the challenges. I mean, like I said, we're not trying to bury our head in the sand.
Right.
We know we have issues. But I also think it's important to talk about some of the positive things, because it has an impact on the psyche. It takes us from being a victim to being victors. Us talking about the things where we are good, where we are making progress. The fact that we have reduced crime over the last year significantly.
It's very significant.
It's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
But it's okay for us to acknowledge that we're trending in a better direction and we're going to keep doing more. And all of the things that we're doing are a part of the formula. The work that you guys are doing, you're changing individuals' lives, one individual at a time, one building, one structure at a time. And all of those things culminate. Imagine the power of just the story of the work that you're doing. If instead of us touting that we're America's deadliest city, that we have the city with the most heart. And here's an example. Let me tell you the story of Lucretia and individuals whose lives are completely different and transformed because of the amazing work that's happening right here in South Memphis. Imagine if that's the story that someone sees on social media instead of the headline that we're the deadliest city. It automatically changes us from being a victim of the narrative to being a victor over circumstances.
And that plays in so perfectly with what you were saying about the blight. The things we see and hear impact the way we perceive our reality.
Absolutely.
I never thought about that, and I'm definitely guilty of using the negative connotations, I guess.
Yeah, well,
that's a strong thing to think about, though,
I think it's important that all of us just be responsible with our language and our platforms, because there are what we call self-fulfilling prophecies.
100%.
I think that we can speak things into existence.
Yep.
And if we want to speak something into existence, we don't want it to be the negative.
We don't want it to be negative, that's right.
We want it to be where we want to go, the aspirational side.
One thing that frustrates me while we're on this topic of the negative Memphis, you see so many people complain about the city, Memphians.
Yeah.
You see so many, especially on social media, man. I try not to pay attention to that crap, but it's hard not to. Like, everybody wants to, throw daggers and complain, but who's actually willing to go do something to change it?
Right.
And that frustrates the fire out of me. Seeing people dog this city and all they're doing is sitting there complaining. They're not lifting a finger. And there's so many opportunities for people to come out and volunteer, not just at this, but like you're talking Orange, man, there's so many community events people can get involved in and actually try to drive positive change in their city.
All over the city. I mean, we talked about it this morning with our team, just how there are so many spaces that we go into that are just beautiful sights to behold, because it's community coming together, addressing issues, challenges, having a good time, celebrating the community. And I think it's important that our citizens, our residents, see more of that, and that we begin to embrace the positive side. There will always be negativity that
not
exists,
going anywhere,
but we need to counter it by flooding our timelines with the positive things.
That right there, we need the positive stories about Memphis to be going viral.
Right.
You get so many news articles, and God bless Joe Birch. Like he's done a great job of covering some positive things.
Yes.
I love that man. But it's back to that self-fulfilling prophecy thing. If all we ever share and comment on and engage with on social media is the negative stuff,
Right.
we are teaching the media that their ad revenue goes up when they talk about negative things.
Amen.
They're still a business.
Amen.
And so we've got to do a better job as Memphians, really as Americans, period, of engaging with the uplifting, the positive. This country loves an underdog story.
Yeah,
and what better underdog story is there than Memphis, Tennessee, coming from where we were at to where I think we're headed in the next 5 years?
Well, I firmly believe it deep in my heart and soul that Memphis is on the upswing.
I do too.
And that we're about to witness something historic in our community, because things are aligning in a way where, we're addressing blight, we're addressing issues with public safety, we're doing the things that are going to truly allow our community to flourish and prosper. And I think that this is a moment when people should take notice and get in while we're on the upswing.
That's right. You ever heard of Robert Putnam, sociologist?
I don't think so.
Okay. What you're talking about right now echoes a study he did on an upswing in human capital. My buddy Scott Mann could explain this much more eloquently than I can, but apparently, if you look back in history, about 100 years ago, we had this big upswing in human capital, and that's when Rotary Club, Alcoholics Anonymous, Boy Scouts of America, like all these grassroots movements came out of nowhere.
Right.
And it was at a dark time in our nation's history. We were coming off of World War I, the Depression started, we were heading into World War II. But you see all these grassroots movements start literally from nothing, just little brush fires that took off like wildfire. Everybody knows the Rotary Club, Boy Scouts, Alcoholics, and that period of upswing in human capital, according to Putnam, started declining in the 70s. And we're at a time now where we're on that upswing again. And I think people that latch onto this and start looking at the positives, which you're doing an incredible job of doing, I got to do better about that. I think people that latch onto it right now are set to ride this tsunami of positivity that's about to sweep our nation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of examples of grassroots movements beginning now. If you look back over the last few years, I think the evacuation out of Afghanistan was a big one, and then there's a lot more like what we're doing. I mean, we've had a huge groundswell of grassroots social media support. Like you were asking where our money comes from.
Yeah.
It's all grassroots, man. 10, 50, $100 at a time, and we've been able to. We've dumped $500,000 in this community just last year.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know, that's how I ended up meeting you.
Right.
Was through
I forget.
social media.
It was through one of these. I forgot about
through
that.
social media.
I forgot about that.
Somebody hit me up and was like, hey, have you seen this? And this challenge that you guys were having on something. And that's how we got connected. And I became aware of the work. And, man, just really appreciate what y'all doing for this
Man,
city.
I appreciate the fire to you guys. Your office has been a staunch ally. Christian Warren's a great dude.
Yeah,
he's coming
great.
out to all sorts of stuff. And this city's fun.
It is.
It's fun. Doing the work we're doing out here is fun. Getting to interact with people like you is fun. Yeah. Like we are so aligned on all of this.
Man.
I've done a bad job. I feel really guilty now
No, you
because
shouldn't feel bad.
I always say America's deadliest seed. I got to stop doing that. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're not changing this city unless we get the next generation of Memphians. Kids are impressionable. If all I'm talking about is America's deadliest city,
Right.
like,
And it's attention grabbing.
It is.
It's attention grabbing. Like, yes, I'm gonna click this.
Yeah.
Now you have now ingrained in your mind
You-
what
He
somebody
wrote it in his
perceives.
last week's newsletter, the
Yeah.
exact same thing that you just said about like.
Yeah,
what we got
I
to do.
did.
everybody thinks that everything is all about race in this city, and if you turn on the news, it is. If you hit the street, it never is.
Right.
Nobody has ever told me you can't help me because you're a white guy.
Right.
Like that has never happened.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I think this city's got a lot more unity than
Absolutely.
even we
Absolutely.
realize it does.
Yep.
I've had dope boys help me shut down dope houses. I've had a pimp help me renovate his brothel into a safe house for women and kids. The bad actors on these streets don't want it to be bad anymore.
It's
their
because
kids
support
have-
is universal. Like
100%.
It's universal. Love is universal.
I'm passionate about this.
No, man. Well, I appreciate you having me, man. This has been incredible. And
Dude,
so,
thank you so much.
appreciate you,
I'm
brother.
so grateful
Man,
for
this is
you.
love. I appreciate
We
it.
didn't even have to look at our papers.
Yeah.